Well, many thanks for joining us. I am Ansman Esonyasi and you're watching QTV News. We're broadcasting live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue. Our headlines this evening: the lead surgeon at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital has revealed to QTV that at least 14 people die every month in road traffic accidents in the Gambia. The Gambia Police Force officials have inaugurated the new regional base for the Police Intervention Unit in Basse, sponsored by a Gambian company. Mechanics and stall owners along the Coastal Road Brusubi Highway have expressed support for the ongoing Operation Clear the Streets, aimed at decongesting our roads. 25 journalists are being trained through a UNDP-funded project jointly implemented by the GPU and the National Youth Council in peace and positive messaging in the run-up to the December presidential elections. In international news, the trial of 19 suspects in Mozambique, including a former president's son and a former minister of finance in connection with the $2 billion so-called tuna bonds scandal, began on Monday. And in sports news, 2 Gambian athletes will take part in the 16th Paralympic Games, which began on Monday at the Olympic Stadium in Tokyo. Well, stay tuned for more on these and other stories. I will now take a look at the news in detail. Once again, thanks for joining us. The lead surgeon at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, Dr. Keba Marena, has revealed to QTV that at least 14 people die every month in road traffic accidents in the Gambia. Fatu Obaro reports.
The Gambia is ranked 4th in the 2018 World Road Traffic Accident Index, which should be a cause for concern with our population of just over 2 million. The number is on the increase according to recent published data by the country's leading surgeon at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, Dr. Keba Marena. Dr. Marena released his own data on the number of road traffic accident victims he attended to.
Over 800 injuries over a period of 9 months, 800 people who came with injuries. And at least 70 to 80% of those injuries are what we call serious injuries. And they had to be admitted, they had a fracture, or they had some kind of injury that will leave them with a lasting scar or lasting problem. And as I say, the numbers of those who are dying was over 14 every month over the period of the last 9 months.
According to Dr. Marena, the worrying statistic was recorded from November 2020 to July 2021. The surgeon further explained his reasons for keeping statistics.
One of the reasons why I'm collecting statistics is to help ourselves better understand, to get us better prepared. But I think sometimes you almost need to shock people. If you ask people how many people die a month from road traffic accidents, most people won't know. Everybody may know somebody who's had an accident or who has died from an accident, but until you put the numbers out there, when people start seeing that actually 14 Gambians or 15 Gambians every month are dying from something that is almost completely avoidable. There are countries where the rates of death or rates of serious injury are very low. So it's avoidable. A lot of people even choose not to call it road traffic accident. We call it road traffic collision because, you know, it's something that we can do better with, something that we can avoid. So I think if the numbers go out there, if people see that it's a problem, then maybe they'll take action to prevent it from happening, either themselves as a driver or not letting people do things that they shouldn't be doing. You know, you advise your friends, you advise your family what they should be doing or not doing.
Mohamed Saleh Ba, a pedestrian, said the cause of these frequent accidents is due to reckless driving.
Sometimes you see drivers overtaking on a narrow road, which at times may lead to an accident.
Mr. Ba also emphasized what else is important in cars.
It is important for a car to have good brakes. Sometimes drivers speed without good brakes, and when they want to stop, it is always too late.
Alaji Gassama, a tourist taxi driver, said drivers need to concentrate more when driving.
They need to focus, man, you know. So these are machine. The machine, then when you are on machine, then you need to concentrate. You need to focus, man.
According to a report published by the Point newspaper in November 2020, the Gambia Police Force stated that out of 775 road accidents recorded, 115 people lost their lives. If the latest statistic released by Dr. Marina is anything to go by, the numbers are expected to increase significantly by the end of the year. For QTV News, I am Fatu Obara.
Some worrying statistics there. Now, the Gambia Police Force officials have inaugurated the new regional base for the Police Intervention Unit in Basse, sponsored by Gach Global Company. Alaji A. Jallo reports.
The project for the construction of the new regional PIU base at a cost of $1.7 million is sponsored by the CEO of Gach Global, Abubakar Jawara, was officially inaugurated on Saturday in Basse. At the ceremony, the Police Commissioner for URR, Esa Baji, said the presence of a strong police intervention unit is needed in Basse to combat all forms of criminal activity in the region. He added that with this building, Mr. Jawara is providing the police with a conducive working environment and further call on other good citizens to emulate the business tycoon.
I have experienced the weak organs of this amazing region, that is Basse. Since then, my team and I are trying hard to traverse the obstacles again along the way in order to secure a conducive environment for the region. My officers spend a lot of hours of their day at work and add up to significant part of people's life. A strong PIU presence here will deter armed bandits, cattle rustling, many criminal activities.
The Basse District National Assembly member, Honorable Mohamed Magasi, who led the minute silence in honor of the late former IGP, Mahmoud Joe, said, infrastructural development is the foundation to any meaningful development. He also added that without law and order, there will be no peace or stability.
Foundation to development is infrastructure. And the foundation to any infrastructure is peace and stability. And the foundation to peace and stability is law and order. And the foundation to law and order is enabling environment.
The CEO of Gach Global was represented by his brother, Mr. Yusufa Jawara, who said the police force is an important institution that needs to be supported in maintaining law and order. He also added that for the police to function effectively and efficiently, the environment must be conducive.
These are people who are charged with the important responsibility of maintaining public order and safety, enforcing the law, and preventing, detecting, and investigating criminal activities. To be able to carry out this responsibility effectively and efficiently, the environment must be right for any society's police force.
The Deputy Inspector General of Police, Moduso, thanked the sponsors and spoke of what more needs to be done.
Yes, today we are here to inaugurate this magnificent edifice with pleasure and gratitude to our patron who has contributed immensely to ensure that this is a reality. Much is yet to be achieved, so I employ all of us to ensure that by next year at this time, we have departed from here.
There is no country that can assure development in the absence of security. The police command calls for collaboration with stakeholders to combat crime in the country. To maintain peace and stability, all hands must be on deck. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alaji F. Jallo.
Mechanics and stall owners along the Coastal Road Bruceby Highway have expressed support for the ongoing Operation Clear the Streets. They have also called on government to consider extending support by allocating space for affected stall and garage owners. More in this report. The Joint Task Force operation spearheaded by the police was initiated to remove objects and vehicles encroaching on the road, decongest traffic and reduce road traffic accidents. Since its launching, the police, with the support of the National Roads Authority, local government authorities and other partners, have removed hundreds of vehicles and stalls along the roads in the West Coast region, Kanifing Municipality and Banjul. Workshop owners along the busy Coastal Road Brisbane Highway have been sharing their thoughts with us on what they make of the operation. Majority of those who spoke to us are in full support of the operation they say has made their working environment even safer. However, they have other concerns. While they express strong support for the exercise, they sympathize with those affected and want the authorities to consider extending support to them by allocating a space where they can continue their businesses. Issa Sise, a welder, and Habib Njai, a car mechanic, express support for the exercise.
Wa rafet na pour ñu clean yoon wi lo tam rafet na dega lo tam rafet na trop wa xam nga tam nit ki tam soko génné ci place tam dang ko wara jox place pour mu tok.
Clearing the road is a good thing and I am in full support. The place is clear now and both vehicles and commuters can go about their business without hindrance. Yes, I do sympathize with my friends who are affected. I am also affected, but we thank God and I hope authorities will consider giving us a space at least to compensate for these challenges.
Yoon bi clear bi baax na ay tamit dafa nekk loo xamante ni luy taral dëkk bi lay doon, understand nga?
Yes, I do support the operation. I really do. And I hope it will be extended to other parts of the country. But I would also like to appeal to the police, NRA and local council to see how best they can support those affected. Modu Cham and Demba Bari, both mechanics, say they have been working at this workshop since 2016. Despite being affected, they also express support for the operation, except that they too want authorities to consider allocating space or offer advice before removing stalls or shops along the road.
Di ñaan autorité rek ñi nga xamanteni ñom maybe ñoo am doole ci affaire bi ñu dimbali ñu rek.
I want to appeal to the authorities to extend support to those affected. The operation is a good one. It should be supported by all. Exercises like this should be well publicized so that people will know its importance.
Danaka legi alhamdulillah lifin bi wañeku na.
This place is very clear and spacious now. There were many vehicles here and they blocked the whole place. It was difficult to pass. So I support the operation. However, I hope those affected will be supported. Operation Clear the Streets is a nationwide exercise launched by the police in partnership with the National Roads Authority and local councils. The police say the operation is here to stay, and so far, it appears to be getting public support. Ansmane Sonyasi for QTV News. And from the report, we will take a short commercial break, but the news continues when we return.
The best product in town is back. QCell's MiFi router. Get the best MiFi in the country for just $2,800 and connect up to 15 users with 4G internet speeds and a long-lasting battery life. So rush now to any of our customer care locations and get the best for less while stocks last. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Boss, the Gambia's quality network. We innovate, others follow.
Step into the future of television with sleek and slim design Samsung Smart TVs, ranging in size from 32 to 75 inches and in different technology. Smart LED, Crystal UHD, Ultra High Definition, and QLED Quantum Dot LED. Get new ways of interacting with your TV as our TVs offer an unparalleled vision adventure from the comfort of your living room. Ultra Viewing Angle, powerful picture quality, web browser, gallery, EarthNet LAN, wireless LAN built-in, Bluetooth, screen mirroring technology, mobile on TV mirroring, built-in voice assistance, Wi-Fi direct. Not only that, our TVs are backed with 12 months warranty and we are currently on a promotion. Contact us on 333-3217.
Well, welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just joining us, be reminded you're following QTV News and we're broadcasting live from our studios along Kairaba Avenue. I am Ansmane Sonyasi. Now, amidst the battle against COVID-19 and the run-up to the December presidential elections, peace and positive messaging are a critical part of preparing for a level playing field and a successful fight against the pandemic. So as part of this drive, 25 journalists are being trained through a UNDP-funded project jointly implemented by the GPU and the National Youth Council. Mohamed Lamin Choi tells us more.
In every part of the world, the media have a critical role and are front and center in tackling conflicts and disease pandemics. These 25 journalists are being prepared to play a fundamental role in peace building and positive messaging on the deadly pandemic. Fighting fake news about COVID-19 and hate speech peddled on media platforms are a crucial issue affecting the Gambia. The journalists are being tasked to champion the battle against this social problem.
We have a high stake, and the expectations of young people in this country is high, more especially on the journalists, because you are listening well. If you go to the community radios, you go to the TVs, or all these social medias, anytime a journalist sends a message, they are well listened and they are well shared. You are well trusted, so try to ensure that that trust continues. To set standard is easy, but to maintain this standard is very difficult. So let us maintain this standard. All of you to take this training, 2 days training, seriously.
At this critical moment, the Gambia is fighting a pandemic and preparing for presidential elections in December. The Vice President of the Gambia Press Union, Mohamed MS Ba, challenges journalists to counter fake news, myths and misconceptions around COVID-19 and the vaccination campaign for the country to transition to a successful post-COVID-19 recovery.
I believe the media plays a very important role in ensuring that they send positive messages to show that the fear of the vaccine is just a myth which should be demystified, which should be also removed by the right people, which is the media.
The COVID-19 pandemic is ravaging our economy, leaving hundreds in hospital and killed hundreds. Currently, it is our worst common enemy. A problem facing the country is a low vaccine coverage, a consequence of initial vaccine hesitancy among the public. This, plus public reluctance to be tested, has become a health concern, which the Director of Health Promotion and Education wants the press to contribute to changing attitudes through positive messaging.
We have already developed key messages so that we can be able to package these messages into local languages or into languages that people understand so that they can be able to know the importance of vaccination and also know the importance of adhering to the precautionary measures for COVID. So the media have a role to play. You as journalists, you have to show a better example. One, you should also be on mask at all times for now. And also, you should also ensure that you are vaccinated, and together with your families, you encourage them to get vaccinated. We have a youthful population in this country.
The 2-day training will focus on how journalists can package information with positivity to better shape public opinion on the issues that matter most to our country, thus fighting a deadly virus and promotion of peace for a progressive Gambia. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Now, over 1,000 seedlings were planted by the Bullock Kaponga Youth Development Association in their community forest on Saturday. The aim is to restore forest cover lost to logging and bushfires. Our reporter Mundu Gajaga was with them and he now reports.
Decades ago, this was a thick forest, but now not much is left. In a drive to restore the community forest, the youth of the community planted at least 1,500 seedlings of different tree species. Ismail Ajame is the president of the Bullock Kaponga Youth Development Association. He says they are planting the trees to restore the lost forest cover for the benefit of future generations.
It's very important to plant the trees. As you can see, the forest right now, if you check around, the big trees are almost done. They are all finished. But now if you leave it like that, we need to replace it like with trees. Yeah, so that's why we are doing this, taking this step to replace the trees that we are already cut down.
Despite being a community initiative, several others joined the Kaponga Youth's annual event to support the initiative. Tree planting is one of the ways in which the environment could be protected and could help in the mitigation of climate change.
I will just try to encourage other young people so that at least, let's try by all means, we try and plant more trees in our environment so that at least, we are complaining of deforestation, and other things in our environment. So that at least, this planting of these trees can help us in many ways.
Women and girls formed the majority in this exercise, and Mam Kumba Baji spoke on their behalf.
Wanang kunyela kujukum karamba kujakut dukunen kafayoli matu jawlu kawlanya na karamba man kubere ku kanyomeno no lutu kontane.
The entire village is proud of them and the good work they are doing. When they realize that the forest is dwindling, They quickly converged and planted trees and fruit trees to the delight of the elders of the village.
After planting the seedlings, Sajo Jajo, the secretary of the association, says at least half of the trees planted annually will grow. A very humid afternoon here at the Block Community Forest, where a tree planting exercise has been going on since morning. Over 1,500 seedlings have been planted today, and all is geared towards restoring the forest, which they have lost over years of illegal activity of cutting down the trees and as well as bushfires. Reporting for QTV News, I am Momodu Gajaga in the Block Community Forest.
Interesting report there, and it will lead us to the international news in a moment. The trial of 19 suspects in Mozambique, including a former president's son and a former minister of finance, opened on Monday in the outskirts of the capital, Maputo. The trial is in connection with the US $2 billion so-called tuna bonds scandal that plunged the country into its worst financial crisis since independence in 1975.
The city courts have been considered too small for this trial, involving as it does scores of lawyers, 70 witnesses and 250 media workers who have been accredited to attend. So it is being held in a large canvas tent in the grounds of a maximum security prison where Nambi Gebuza, son of former President Armando Gebuza, has been held in pre-trial custody since February 2019 in the outskirts of the capital, Maputo. The suspects have been charged with blackmail, counterfeiting, embezzlement and money laundering. Mozambique's long-running financial scandal, in the words of one commentator, reads like a thriller. A number of litigations has already arisen in the UK and the US out of it, and it goes like this. Between 2013 and 2014, Mozambique's Minister of Finance, Manuel Chang, approved without Parliament's validation $2 billion of government loans from the International Investment Bank, Credit Suisse, and Russian bank VTB Capital. The country's donors, including the IMF, whose funding provided about a quarter of the national budget, were not informed. The Mozambican government stood as guarantor of the loans, meaning the state would repay them if things went wrong. Mozambique defaulted on the loans in January 2017, plunging the country into a financial crisis with debt soaring to 112% of GDP by the end of the year. Donors, including the IMF and World Bank, suspended aid after learning the full extent of the secret loans. The loan was allegedly used to buy a large tuna factory and a maritime security fleet, as well as to finance other deals involving companies in which the state is a leading shareholder. But nearly 3 years later, the fishing project, initially touted as self-sustaining, became defunct. The 24 fishing boats that were bought, meant to be a modern tuna fleet that would rake in hard currency, create jobs and provide a cheap source of protein for one of the world's poorest countries, remained rusting in the harbor of Mozambique's capital, serving as disgraceful monuments to government mismanagement. U.S. prosecutors set the ball rolling by opening investigations into the people involved. Former Finance Minister Manuel Chang was arrested in Johannesburg, South Africa, in transit to Dubai in December 2018 on a U.S. Justice Department indictment, charging him with conspiracy to commit money laundering as well as wire and securities fraud. In 2019, 3 bankers from Credit Suisse, alongside several Mozambican officials, were included in the indictment. The bankers have since pleaded guilty to the U.S. charges. On 21st August this year, South Africa agreed to extradite Chang to Mozambique, not the USA. According to U.S. prosecutors, the tuna bonds scandal involved a criminal network of Mozambican officials conspiring with partners in foreign banks and shipbuilding companies to set up fraudulent projects. As a result of these deals, a couple of million people were thrown into poverty and several $1 billion was knocked off economic growth, according to one political observer. From having been regarded as a paragon of integrity in the late 1970s, Mozambique has now found itself dealing with the biggest financial corruption in its less than 50 years of statehood. The trial will run until 1st September. For QTV News, I am Murumboch.
And now on to sports news. 2 Gambian athletes will take part in the 16th Paralympic Games in Tokyo. They will join over 4,000 athletes competing in various sports over the next 2 weeks. The opening ceremony took place on Monday at the Olympic Stadium. Our sports reporter Mouri Gajaga takes a look.
In a colorful ceremony, Gambia's flag was among many nations as the Tokyo Paralympic Games kicked off. Athletes Malan Tamba and Fatou Sane are the 2 Gambians competing at the event. Both athletes will compete in the wheelchair racing. Gambia made its Paralympic debut in London 2012 before a second appearance in the Rio Paralympics in 2016. 2 athletes have represented the West African nation in both events. Tokyo 2020 will be the biggest Paralympic Games ever, with a record number of athletes set to take part. In addition, more female athletes than ever before were lined up at the postponed Games, which opened on August the 24th. Host nation Japan will have the most athletes at the Games with 254, nearly doubled their delegation at Rio 2016. In total, 4,403 athletes, 2,550 male, 1,853 female will compete across 22 sports and 23 disciplines, with 4,328 athletes. Rio 2016 held the previous record for the most athletes. This means Tokyo now has the record for most athletes at the Games. Just like the Olympic Games 2 weeks ago, the Paralympic Games will go ahead without spectators due to the rise in COVID-19 cases in Japan. Momudu Gajaga, QTV News.
And I'm afraid that's all about it, but before we take a leave of you, here's a recap of our main headlines. The lead surgeon at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital has revealed to QTV that at least 14 people die every month in road traffic accidents in the Gambia. The Gambia Police Force officials have inaugurated the new regional base for the Police Intervention Unit in Basse, sponsored by a Gambian company. Mechanics and store owners along the Coastal Road Brucery Highway have expressed support for the ongoing Operation Clear the Streets aimed at decongesting our roads. 25 journalists are being trained through a UNDP-funded project jointly implemented by the GPU and the National Youth Council in peace and positive messaging in the run-up to the December presidential elections. In international news, the trial of 19 suspects in Mozambique, including a former president's son and a former minister of finance, in connection with the $2 billion so-called tuna bonds scandal began on Monday. And in sports news, 2 Gambian athletes will take part in the 16th Paralympic Games, which began on Monday at the Olympic Stadium in Tokyo. Well, that is all we have for you in this bulletin. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.